here with the opportunity of sharing with you our dream. This has been happening for, I think, 6 years now. It started as most of great inventions in the garage, in my garage. At the beginning, when we started, people were looking at us as crazy, as who is going to write it, who is going to be, who's going to take part of it. But now I think at this point, we are at a different place, not just us, all those dreamers were thinking about a flying car, which is, I don't know if it's 100 years or 70 years, but it's been a while. So let me start with my presentation. Let's share my screen. Okay, so I'll start. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, can you see the Doron logo?
Yes.
Okay. So again, thank you for being here. I don't know how many people we expect to see, but I'm getting a lot of admits to the forum. I'm getting more of it. Is this something you can take care of, Mehdi? Because they're asking me to admit all the participants.
Yes, I got it.
I can do that, but okay.
I've got it.
Okay, cool. So for like 4,000 years now, mankind has been using an invention that we all know about. It's the wheel. This was our main form of transportation. And this is basically the most advanced until now solution that we have for traveling. It doesn't matter if we talk about a Tesla, it doesn't matter if we talk about Ferrari or a train, all of them are using wheels, and car obviously using rubber. So this is like the most advanced one. We are here to disrupt the notion, to ditch the conventional and essentially going what we call wheelless. So most of what we flies out today in commercial aviation is made of aluminum and propelled by internal combustion engine using fuels that creates heat, pollution, and noise. And I'm sure you guys already know heat is a lot of time called it's data, it's information, inefficient one, sometimes they say. But really, if you imagine a car with a motor, there's so many materials inside. You know, there's fumes, there's oil, there's electricity, there's explosives. Technology is a material, and that makes it basically a multiple point of failure. And you know, in going to safety, you need to minimize that. And you know, take into consideration the pollution that we're all aware of. It's heavy, it's complex, and it's very, very noisy. So we are basically offering a new way of commuting. Our commuting is based on carbon fiber and microelectronics, or electronics as we say. It's cleaner, it's quieter, basically it's different than what we understood and we understand life of traveling today. It's more cost effective. There's all the check marks really there. There's almost nothing that we can think of, including safety, and I'll make that case in a few, including safety, that will make the case that this is our future of commuting. I'll share with you a couple of more thoughts that we have. So let me introduce to you the Doron H1. So we are basically building what's called an eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing. There are few out there already making a lot of noise, a lot of images. It's based on three main categories. There is what we call air taxi, which is most of the categories, which we're talking about a 5-passenger, 4, 5, even 6 passengers, 6,000, 7,000 pounds of aircraft going into an airport as a service, as a ride sharing. So you will take your car into a vertiport or a helipad or the airport, and you go vertical, and then you go and land and you go again. And again, from our point of view, this doesn't solve the last mile issue, like how do you get there? You still need to travel. The other side of it is ultralight. It's more of a joyride of one person. You might be familiar with a company called Lyft, who is you're going up 20, 30 seconds, maybe more, and you see some traveling and you're going down. Our understanding, this is our belief, is that the bigger market share will be where we are aiming, and this is the personal transportation. So the Ronnie, and this is what we start with. It's a two-seater aircraft or vehicle. It's kind of a mixture of both, of regular car. I mean, there's so many things into it because it really will change the way we understand both time and space and distance, obviously. So we are talking about a two-seater with up to a 500 payload. So you can have a case or a suitcase, small suitcase. This will be for personal use under LSA Light Sport Aircraft certification. We are now meeting with the FAA and advisory board, and also with NASA as part of them, because they're changing the specific category under Mosaic rules or laws. I'll talk about it a little bit further. We have a world-class team. Some of the brightest minds in aerospace, electronics, software engineering, and battery technology. I myself, I'm a seasoned business person. I managed few companies both in the US and abroad. I came from the very best of school of NYU at that time. It was 1993, kind of backwards. That's when I graduated. I'm an expert in product design, product development, manufacturing, and supply chain. I'm also a wartime veteran who served in the Israeli Air Force. Originally was born in Israel. You probably can, if you detect by my accent. This is part of the DNA of the group. Some of the groups are Ukrainian aerospace engineers. Some of them are UK software systems, battery expert. We have quite a variety of people which we like to work because it helps us to expand a lot of things, not just technologies and knowledge. And in the way, at least specifically me, my favorite, I like to work with talented people. Degree is important, but for me, degree is not so important. It's kind of a contradiction here, but I'm looking for more passionate, more curious people, people who are, wants to be a professional, what they love. And this is really the core thing that I personally believe in life. This is how it's going to work. This is what we see here. Let me see what's going on here. Okay. Let me, if you see my screen here, the 3D. You able to see 3D here?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we have here this was done probably 7 or 8 months ago. Many things have changed and many things will change. The core is that we have 10 motors, 10 propellers. It's double ducts. So we have 4 ducts. In each duct, we have a counter rotating coaxial motors, 2 of them in each one. So embedded in the wing. We have 2 back pushers here. The idea of it, how it works. So everything that we approach here is simplicity in mind. So you swipe here an RFID card, the door will open, you'll hear the door opening. So you get, you understand where you are. And then you sit inside and see this design has already changed. We're using tablets in our case. So the idea of the tablets is that they can literally be taking off and you get all the information. It's our app. You can take it off after the flight. We have 2 joysticks. The joystick is now situated in the center console, and the way you operate it is basically with the 3 touch of button. Here, the first one, you get start Doron system check. Doron system complete. Doron system ready to take off, and then you have a tablet here. So the way you fly it is just hit of a button. Either you put an address, and again, a drone, it's like fly like a drone. It doesn't have to have like a complicated route. It just goes straight up and direct into the destination and then land. Now I can address how, FAA and NASA are looking at it as far as traffic in the sky later. So you can go like this, but you can also click the button and it will take you vertical to a predetermined altitude. Let's say you want to be comfortable at 200, 300 feet. It will take you up there and will maintain its position, or do multiple sensors that it has, waiting your command. So this is the semi-autonomous way. I'm not sure how long it will take the FAA to give a full compliance for full autonomous, because it made things even more complicated. You have 360 cameras inside, so you can see exactly where you're landing, and it will not let you land in places where it cannot fit. So let's talk a little bit about safety features. So we have, as I said, 8 motors taking vertical, 2 pushers in the back. What happens is we design it in a way that in case of a failure of 1, 2, or 3, or 4 propellers, because we have 8, the computer can still balance itself. It's basically wired separately. And it will balance, self-balancing. Obviously, it will give you audible and start automatic descent that you can always override. But it will not, and then you can, and then basically you will be able to land safely. You can maneuver with a stick in case you're not landing in the place, which is, which would, it's on building something, but you can still maneuver it. So we don't expect multiple failures at the same time, because usually if a failure will occur with 1 motor, 2 motors, but multiple will not. Now, people ask, okay, so what about weather? So I can tell you about weather. It can fly, like every aircraft in weather depends on the amount of, obviously, of rain or thunderstorms. Notification will be made exactly like, a regular flight is being taken care of. Let's say, now this is a carbon fiber body. Basically, we design it as a carbon fiber monocoque. You guys probably familiar with Formula One, that a guy can hit the wall at 320 km/h. All carbon fiber, he will still come out alive, although he's a little bit shaky, but he will come out alive. And the reason is because this becomes as the exterior shell to eliminate frame for this flying one that we building right now, expect to fly before the end of the year. We will have the carbon frame, but our designs are working forward to make it without a frame. So let's say in the case here, multiple failures of motors. Oh my God, before start praying here, you have a ballistic parachute that will deploy here from this handle. You just pull that lever and it will deploy a ballistic parachute here from the back, which will land all aircraft safety. And there are not too many. The reason why we are very, feel good. Confident is a very big word that I'm, trying not to over stress here, but this has a better potential of being way more or safer than any other aircraft out there, because there aren't too many aircraft at all that have parachute. There are very, very few of them. Helicopters do not have them. And when a helicopter has 1 motor and 1 prop, if there's a problem, it can do auto rotation, but still, many times it doesn't work, unfortunately, and it just falls like a stone. In our case, we do have multiple motors, rotors, and we have ballistic parachute, and the body is made of carbon fiber, and we have more provisions in mind of like airbags and stuff. There's a lot of technologies, really amazing technologies out there that just waiting to be picked up, and be used. And these are full intention to make use of them. Okay, so moving forward, we believe that we're bringing to the table one of the safest aircraft there is in general aviation. And I think I stressed that, I explained that a little bit. I'll be happy to answer more questions once you guys have. So we have ballistic parachute, energy dissipating landing gear, multiple redundancies in battery, 10 independent propulsion system, increased lift and stability because of the wings. We have the ducted, which is patented to be embedded in the wings, and energy dissipating body. So when it crashes, it will basically dissipate the energy and keep the actual pilot safe. I'm here to make the case that we are at an inflection point where the world is really literally about to change. The big question for us is when. And I can tell you that we are very close to the now at this point, at least on our side, and we see also other companies are doing that. We are delivering a cutting edge technology that will disrupt everything we understand about time and space. And we presented in Oshkosh Air Show and had like over 1,000 of visitors in a booth who actually sat in our simulator inside a cockpit, a full-scale cockpit with all the apps and also the VR and all those programs that show how it flies. And the biggest rejection that we got was amazing. Was like, well, this guy was a pilot. He goes like, man, I'm like flying for 20 years now. Now you took all the complications out of the flight, and it's exactly what we want to do. We are not interested to sell to expert pilots at all. We are interested that you guys will be our clients who enjoy it. This is really what our interest, the young people who do not need all those complexities. And for me, growing up, the phone was very complicated at that time. It was a die, it was connected to the wall, and then there was wireless, and then that. So we saw it was coming, and we saw those things coming because all of us, most of us watched Star Trek, watched, I don't know, Fifth Element, Blade Runner, all those futuristic movies, Star Trek or Star Wars. And all those things eventually, or most of the stuff, technology, like from the days of Jules Verne, if you heard the name, he was also he was talking about science fiction at that time, like a long time ago. He predicted flight to the moon and also diving in under the sea. So we see it coming, and we see it now. We basically every day that's going forward. So again, coming from my root as ex-Israeli, I was born in Israel. I was with the Air Force. We had a lot of emergencies, including, terror attacks and stuff. And we couldn't, if we had that thing that back then, that would be like a totally world changer, because you can deploy this vehicle so fast. I mean, it will charge to in 20 minutes to 30 minutes. It will charge enough for you to go wherever you want to go. I mean, obviously at a distance, limited distance, but you can charge there. The EV charger as well. This is something that we're working on. So you can give, first responders a lot of a utility vehicle that can act pretty fast. And the type of certification that needed is not that complicated as in pilot. So you have to have 20 hours, as to our understanding, this point is 20 hours of studying in our premises, where 15 hours is just understanding about the vehicle and 5 hours is a solo flight. But in the Air Force now, there are a program called Agility Prime, which they're really pushing it. They're really interested in having eVTOLs for different type of jobs to do, reconnaissance, like reconnaissance and others, and maybe taken a abandoned aircraft, save the pilot, just send that there by remote control. And I did that also in the airport, in the Air Force Israeli. So we had that. I wish we had that last time. So here is the 3 types of, in general, that I talked to you about before: the ultralight, and our stuff is in center at LSA, and there's the air taxi. There's a lot of big groups. It's not just the Air Force, it's the US government is pushing it, and also now the Marines, and a lot of companies, big companies abroad, outside of the US as well. So this becomes a big thing now, and you can expect to see a lot of hype it's already happening, but it's just going to grow for the next, it's endless. It's 10, 20, 30 years, because there's so many things are coming into play about traffic, about sizes of the vehicle, the distances, and much like the first iPhone, which lasted maybe like, what was that, like 30 minutes? Now it lasts days. So battery technology keep improving, definitely because of this is a hype today of having clean energy. Car batteries are improving dramatically, and this helps us as well. The trend. So as I said, here is, you can see there's so many things into play. There was 60 Minutes. They interviewed the former, I think he's coming out now as FAA acting administrator. He says by 2024, you have the first certified eVTOL air taxi. And they're talking about Cafe eVTOL in Orlando. The House of Representative issued legislation issued to a House beginning, I think it was beginning of this year. The Air Force is pushing, the military is pushing it. There's so much things into play. This is a known future. It's really not, it's not if, it's more than, who will be the players, when it's going to happen, and it's just endless. I mean, we are bombarded with requests. This guy wants to play golf. This company in the Netherlands wants to service their turbines, right? Their wind turbines, and they have like islands there, so they cannot send a helicopter because the helicopter has fumes, it's combustion engine, it's gases, so the spark can explode it. So everywhere with electricity, they would like to have a vehicle like that that can be charged at that place. Although we have one of the first, we already have orders in place. And one of the first guys who invested and put order, he's a doctor. He's living in an airport community. And I didn't know that. But in Florida, there are about 70 airport communities, and in the United States, close to 800. Airport community, it's basically you're living in a private airport. You have a bunch of residents like your regular community, but with runways, and you fly to your home. And think about the noise they have, the pollution. And he reached out to check, the HOA bylaws, and just says, yeah, man, we want you guys there. Here, come on. We talk about in-gen reservations. This is a perfect vehicle for that. Very easy to use. So there's multiple endless uses. Think about it. We can have a swarm of vehicles like that sent to hurricanes before and after the hurricane, to take out people from flooded places. I mean, this is, I'm waiting for that moment that we can send them and help people. And so this is another thing here. Okay, so this is basically questions a little bit about air traffic management, and this is something that you guys were probably looking for. Let me see if I have that clip here I can use. Not this one, not that one. Okay, so air traffic management. The air traffic management, until now, what was working is there are two ways. It's what's called IFR, is Instrument Flying Rules, or VFR, which is Visual Flying Rules. This is how pilots are using when they're flying. Now we've been working with NASA on what's called DFR, which is Digital Flying Rules. So in every machine and every vehicle like that, there'll be kind of a homing device, a chip that they can see exactly where it is. And think about a drone. Everybody knows how a drone fly. I'm looking at a drone as essentially a three-dimension elevator. So it doesn't pick up altitude like a regular aircraft, doesn't need a runway. So it goes up, can go left, right, up, down, so very, very agile. So if it flies and there's an obstacle, so many sensors that can stop and go down. So there's a multiple level. So traffic in the sky they're approaching it today. They call it corridors. So essentially, going to be multiple of layers of traffic that you can go, and you can switch layers, and so they will know exactly where you are. And if you're driving too fast, probably as well. If you guys saw Fifth Element, it happened like that. Now, as far as controlling it more, I got a video yesterday. I don't have it here. I'm sorry, to show how drones multiple of drones are working together on top of each other, going back and forth and never colliding. And maybe you saw this thing in different countries where they have like a kind of sparks in the sky. They have thousands of drones flying and all communicating to create a flag. So this is an AI, obviously, solving this issue. So this is, again, something that can be controlled, but this is really far down the line for us. And I don't know, it take 5, 10, probably 10 years or something like that, going into a major city. For us, the main thing is, let's start as a niche player. Let's start as helping that technology come out. And we're getting a lot of feedbacks from local community here in Florida that are very interested. Police department wanted for assessment. I didn't know that, but most of the drones today that are used, made in China, cannot be used anymore, even expensive ones like DJI, I know they have like $20,000 because of federal, problems with the Chinese people, obviously. So they need something to give them assessment. And also, a lot of people like to feel it, to see it their own eyes. Camera, just even the best one doesn't help that much. So it's another thing. Sending it to save somebody somewhere stranded. This is another, because he doesn't have to land. So there's multiple uses that have been going on. We basically moved to, we started crowdfunding about, this is 333, now we're at 630. This is the second round. We got all this information basically from engaging. Well, I think we have about 1,400 investors all the time, and we're getting a lot of feedbacks. In the beginning, it was pretty hard for us because a lot of them were like spamming, not the investors, people on Facebook were spamming and like, who's going to do that? People can drive, but it has nothing to do with driving, really. It's about traveling or commuting. You just have to take yourself out of the equation. You're not going to be driving in a two-dimensional road and say, okay, I have to stop here to full gas. Okay, this kid is running on the street. And again, distances. Today, when somebody, when you're going to a friend, let's say you go in Waze, right? Take Waze as a GPS, you hit, I want to go to Sean, and it's like 10, let's say 10 miles. You hit enter and suddenly you get like 16, 17, 20 miles because you have to take a route, which is not a direct route. You have to stop. And this is even without stopping and fueling. The way we fly with a drone is totally different. It's going to be just go up straight to the location and go down. So many other options. I mean, think about you going, having a couple of drinks in the restaurants. And I mean, how can you even drive a regular car? Well, with the drone, you just, call your phone and the drone will come next to you because it doesn't even have to land. You just go there and say home and go up to the predetermined altitude again, which is clearance above the building, above the power lines. And it also have sensors to detect that, but it go there and go land. So essentially, this is how we see things are shaping up in the coming future. And this is how we position ourselves. We had this one very interesting guy. He was in Air Force. He came to see us at the show, and he's part of the Agility Prime. And he was saying, "Hey guys, show me what you got." And I'm like, "Okay." And then he sat inside and he said, "This is really how I envisioned myself. I want to be getting clearance for a flight tomorrow morning at 9:35. I'm going to be situated with my wife, and I'm hitting 3 buttons and I'm going vertical to my brother." So this is the whole idea, is just take all the complexities, all those things that we thought it's mandatory for a flight, because flight was only for geniuses, flight was only for people who are smart, but it's like using a phone today. You don't have to be smart to use and to do so many things on the phone. It was not even possible to do on a computer not too many years ago. This is the approach. This is how we see the future. And for us, the future is now. So I think I'm probably about half an hour talking, and I'll be very happy to hear your questions. Please feel free. I'm here.
We have a few questions from Wova, and the first one is, how will these flying cars change the current transportation market?
Well, it's a good question. So I can tell you that at the beginning, when I started, I approached university here in Florida, and all the professors of urban development was saying to me, "Hey, man, it's not going to work. Autonomous vehicles are the solution, blah, blah, blah." And I don't believe in autonomous vehicles to be our main form of transportation. If you want, I can go into details, technology, why, but the best thing I understood is that all form of transportation started as niche players. Flying was started, I think, as an airmail, and also cars. Obviously, when the beginning was driving a car, people, the buggy was, the horse and buggy were laughing at them. So they all started as a niche players, and then they became our main form of transportation. I do believe that this is what's going to happen again with eVTOLs or personal eVTOLs or taxi. I see us becoming part of the group, enlarging it. When I'm saying enlarging it means that it'll probably take some share from regular cars, from vehicles. And we already see companies like Honda, GM, Audi, like all the bigger companies, they're already looking into eVTOLs. I don't know where they are, but they're looking into that. So it will definitely take out a little bit of driving a car, maybe a lot, but the world population is growing anyway. So it will need a solution. It's not going to happen with excavating underground, because still you're destroying nature, and there's so much money and so much time into it, and you still need to get with a car over there. So it doesn't solve the last mile. And also with autonomous vehicles, I mean, it has a world problem by itself. So obviously this will be part of the ecology here, our global transportation, if you will. And I think it's not just this. The experience in traveling with a drone will be totally different than everything else that you can imagine. You literally sitting on a cushion of an air, minimize vibration, because again, it's not a reciprocal motor, it's just electronics, and you're sitting on like 8 of them, so they're balanced, and it's much more quiet, and you can stay present, stay still in one place. So that's just the traveling, it's really how you travel, which is going to make a huge difference in our life. I hope I answered that.
Yes, thank you so much. The next question is, where will the personal flying cars be stored? Will they be parked on people's driveways or airports?
So we designed it for a 2-car garage. So at the beginning, two-car garage. I'm sure that with technology, with time, 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now, it will be smaller and smaller, but I see it in every house. Even we have real estate developers here that came to us. They already know it's coming. They're asking, okay, so where are you going to park it? So part of their solution, amazingly enough, it's going to be inside the building, maybe one of the 2/3, the upper third of between half and the upper 2/3, not on the top, because the top, it's the most expensive, because this is where they want to sell the higher apartment, but it's somewhere in the middle that you go and you park it inside. It can be left outside in your park, but why not even park it in your condo? New buildings can support that. They can, I'm sure, because of the accurate footprint of landing. So it can be a bridge that can land maybe on top of the building. There's so many solutions to that, even gates opening, coming out of the condo. I mean, I saw crazy things here in Miami, and nothing is crazy at this point, like the Porsche building, where people are going with the car and into their apartment, going the elevator. So, why not flying there directly, essentially? And they're building here some future cities as well that are already taking into account using eVTOLs. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, how can we reuse the old drones so that they don't waste resources?
The old drones, like which drones? Like regular drones, you mean? I mean, regular drones, I think the biggest thing, I don't know about the small drones, because the technology keep improving. It's a good question. I would say the biggest concern really is to do better with batteries. I'm hoping for a much better technology coming out there, and I'm seeing some good progress. That the battery can last more and not be maybe recycled, last long, and maybe when it needs to be recycled, there's still a solution for that. We know about solid state batteries that have more energy per weight. As far as drones, small drones, I'm not an expert in that. I'm sorry, I can't help you, but our intentions are to have our design modular. So when the new cells are coming all the time, they can be fit inside as well as motors, because this is really, I mean, you can do a lot of change in the motors and also in the cells themselves.
Great, thank you. The next question is, have you seen a large degree of difficulty with finding motors and other power electronics that meet your performance specification?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, when I think when we started 5 years ago, it was a problem to get there. I personally burned like 30 motors. Each motor is like $1,000. Today, there's a big change in that. There's always a lot of knowledge. There's still room for new suppliers, but we already have few options in place here that will take us forward. We do understand that this technology is constantly on the rise because because of the car industry. So everything is more electric, batteries, control units, motors, and everything else. So, you know, we're taking advantage, not taking advantage, but we enjoy that thing as well.
Okay, the last question that we have is, do you have a working model? If not, when will you have one?
So the one that you see behind me is being built. We expect it to be finished before the end and fly before the end of this year. We flew a seater, one-seater without a pilot at that point. Few years back, 8 motors. It was a 643-pound vehicle, and it was with the previous motors that kept burning. This was a challenge, but now again we are at a different place. We believe that before the end of this year we were able to show a flying prototype. We already completed what you saw in the center, the cockpit and everything, and now we completed the frames. We have all the parts at this point, which is assembling them. This is where we are really now.
Okay, I actually have a few more questions. Are these using hydrogen fuel cells or lithium-ion batteries?
Yeah, so we are shying away from hydrogen. It seems to us to be too complicated. Sometimes you need to have a hybrid system. There's a lot of potential of explosives. I don't know if this technology will eventually, be a dominant one, but we're not. We're looking at lithium, yes, but again, there are so many other technologies that are coming to play. Solid state, like I said before, and there's so many different chemical components as well that they're trying. We are not going into. We will not try to buy the most new technology because we have to certify it to be reliable. So our goal is to get something which will not burn. Before everything, for us, safety is on top of everything, because we understand this is life we're talking about, and we aiming to achieve to make it the most not just advanced and but also safe vehicle. So we will pick and choose exactly, and so far we've been using good cells, so we will continue with that, and hopefully the energy density will go higher as we see it every day now. Yeah.
Awesome. We have one more question, and it is, will there be different models at different price points to make this form of transportation accessible to a range of people for high and lower incomes?
Yeah, so definitely. The short answer is sure. But bear in mind, this is a new technology. As all new technologies at the beginning is not going to be for every person as much as we want to do it, because basically making those parts, the amount of research, the amount of, complications in production, it's not there yet to make it. But if you ask me if I believe, 100%. I mean, who would think about today having a smartphone like when it was starting? Like, I don't know if you guys, but when it was starting, people, hey, this guy has a smartphone, it's like he's rich, his father's rich, his mother, whatever. So this will start. We will offer few models going from high to low. The one which is less with features, but also with time prices go lower, and also we will offer leasing options. This is another goal that we're looking for. So you don't have to buy, we'll have lease options. You can enjoy, the time sharing about it. So not just buying the whole thing right from the start. It's just time, like everything else. Unfortunately, I'm going through it myself. I wish I would see it now. I'm really rushing it with my team, sometimes too much, but it's time. But it's getting there. I mean, it's not again, it's a future, a known future, I call it. I don't know what other to say. I mean, it's really a known future. We have to be patient, and I'm not so good at patience anyway.
Okay, that seems like it was the last question for today. So I just want to thank you so much for speaking with us about your flying cars. They sound super awesome. And if anyone has any more questions, they can hop on over to the WOVA, which I will link in the chat below, to ask more questions.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for being patient and sharing the dream with us. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.